Hey, Phoenixes are rising. Coach T here, and your blessings are in your ashes. Real quick, just to let you guys know, hey, it is that time. Bring in the new year and the springtime with by joining a community that supports and believes you and can give you tools for your arsenal to help you deal with cluster B personalities. Right? From Sealed to Healed is going to be a 2-hour workshop session. You get free replay and free downloadable workbook. And for some select people who are joining, we will do a raffle and I will pick 3 people to do one-on-one consultations with me or just, a session with me, okay? It is only $97 because I'm not about hitting your pocketbooks. I just want you to be able to invest, plant a seed into your authentic self and the process of excavating to reach him or her, okay? So, links are in the description. Let's get into it. So I had a session that where a participant said, "You know what?" She said, "When my eyes get heavy, that's when I know that I can't take anymore." And I'm not quoting her verbatim, but I was like, "Whoa." My eyes get heavy, right? So there's different layers of the onion of healing. Okay. Especially those of us who have been in for, decades, dealing with narcissistic people, entities, gang stalking, marriages, relationships, you name it. And, she said, "I know that when I guess her nervous system is on overload is when her eyes and go heavy." And I was like, "Yeah, mine have been doing that." And I didn't know what it was because 'cause I'm just used to fighting sleep, right? Fighting because for me, if you those of you who have been subscribers and have been truly following my story, you know that I was homeless for 3 years and I was dealing with gang stalkers. And dealing with gang stalkers. I was dealing with an actual gang member who was sending gang member stalkers, amongst other things, of having witchcraft and all of this stuff, and then trying to unalive my fur babies and all of that. And then I was working on top of it when I would be attacked, when I would have people, so they were trying to just pile and inundate me with all of this stress and trauma because they were hoping that I would basically have a heart attack, um, or a stroke or whatever. And gratefully, my faith in the Most High God and following directions and being obedient, and I learned that I don't eat while I'm stressed. And so, unfortunately, I was stressed a lot. So, fasting, I would do a fast, a 12-hour fast, and I would build up to an 18-hour fast, and even started 16-hour, or excuse me, 24-hour fast. But sometimes those fasts would extend to, uh, 3 days, 3 24-hour periods, right? Whenever I could figure that it was over, my body was like, "Okay, it's over." Because if you eat, then all of it's going to do is freeze. My body freezes. Everything shuts down. I'm not digesting, right? And that's biological, that's scientific. So, anyway, she said this and I had to research and see why the heavy eye, why we get the heavy eyes. So here, let's go. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. All right. So the heavy eyes response and what's actually happening when your eyes suddenly feel heavy during emotional, energetic, or sensory overload, your nervous system is shifting states. This is not tiredness in the usual sense. It's a protective shutdown signal. Number one, your nervous system state shift. Okay. Fight, flight to dorsal vega. Okay. Under overwhelm, the body tries fight or flight first. Hypervigilance, scanning, tension, rapid thoughts. If the system decides, I cannot fight this, I cannot escape this, it shifts into a dorsal vagal response, a shutdown or conservation state. Heavy eyelids are one of the earliest signs of that shift. The body is essentially saying, reduce input, reduce demand, and power down. 2. Sensory gating. The brain reducing input. The eyes are one of the highest bandwidth sensory channels. When overstimulated, the brain tries to limit visual intake. Muscles around the eyes relax. Eyes feel weighted or droopy. This is called sensory gating. The nervous system limiting how much information gets in so it can stabilize itself. In simple terms, closing the eyes equals fewer signals to process. This is adaptive, not dysfunctional. And that's exactly what I was going through, where I would feel like I would have to take a nap. And it was because I'm working from my Samsung, I'm working from my laptop, and then I have, other things going on in the home, because I'm just used to a part of me getting through what I got through, being homeless and being harassed and um being threatened with pretty much assassination. Uh I had and missing human contact, healthy human contact. I had to I stimulated myself by having noise around me. Music on one phone, of course, all these Obama phones, right? Music on one phone, TikTok or YouTube on another, chanting, my mantras on yet another, playing frequencies on another. I mean, you name it, and then watching, trying to watch whatever or do, type whatever. So I had a lot of stimuli just so that I wouldn't go crazy and I wouldn't feel so alone and isolated. And now my body is like, we can't take this anymore. And it had always been like that, but I still wasn't in a safe place to shut down. I'm in a safer place, but is not a safe place, as you guys have heard with the reactive abuse video and me moving states and still dealing with the same stuff for type of people. So, number 3, autonomic fatigue, not sleepiness. This sensation is often misread as I'm bored, I'm disassociating, I'm tired. But what's actually happening is automatic or onomatic fatigue. The nervous system has been on too long. Stress hormones fluctuate, blood flow patterns shift. The body isn't asking for sleep, it's asking for relief from demand. And when you go through narcissistic abuse, the first thing that you lose is what they get you to lose through a systematic um erasure, I guess I would say. It's erosive, but like they're trying to erase you so that they can be you and absorb you. So, you know what I mean? It's like all those particles that they're taking, they're inhaling that, right? So we lose what we used to do to make us, to put us in a state of autopilot, right? It's like I'm not really doing anything. I'm just chilling, right? My higher self is communing in the astral, right? Where all these particles and energies and wisdom is floating around. I'm getting my prayers answered, and I'm just laying back and waiting for them to open the door, to give me my happy meal. Um, you know, and I remember times like that, right? I used to read. I was an avid reader. I love reading still to this day. But for years I have not felt safe enough to complete a full book by myself in the quiet. Not because I'm afraid of the quiet, but because I'm afraid that my being still will be exploited and it will have grave consequences because that is what's happened before. Right? And I know some of us have not been able to calm down, right? And that's why some of us, will do alcohol, we'll do drugs, chain smoke. I was a big smoker at one point in time. Um and that was another thing. I had, anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But so, I never felt safe. And just recently, I have been letting myself just relax. And I realize that it's not, and it's true, because it's not that I want to go to sleep per se, but I want to be calm. I just want to sit and lay in bed and not worry about anything, not bills, not, the disability of my fur babies, not, any type of drama or hostility. And I've been doing that bit by bit. Right? So it really is just, we just want relief from always having to be on. Because when I was homeless, again, it was partially, I want to get this done. Um, because I worked graveyard and I really never had a chance, because after working graveyard, I have to spend a whole 8 hours with my fur babies because they're not understanding. They've been in the van all day, or they've been in the hotel all day with the cockroaches and with whoever else is come by to screw with them. You see? And so it's at that, having that intimacy, but I never had time for myself, right? So it's relearning that. Okay. So number 4, trauma history amplifies this response. For people with trauma histories, the threshold of overload is often lower because the nervous system learned early that threat is unpredictable. As I just explained, sensory and emotional cues are processed faster and more intensely. Shutdown becomes a familiar safety strategy. So when stimulation crosses a certain line, the body moves quickly to go still, go quiet, go inward. Heavy eyes are often the first signal, not the last. Number 5, why it happens in groups, sessions, or conversations. This response shows up frequently during therapy or peer groups, emotionally charged conversations, conflict or perceived authority pressure, being misunderstood or mischaracterized, listening to others' trauma stories. The system is tracking emotional load, not just what's being said. Okay. And I have had this, I mean, even as a transformational coach, right? And I've never pretended that I've got it all together. Healing takes a long time. And like I said, especially depending on what kind of cluster B you were dealing with and how intense and violent and aggressive and they were, and what, the vendetta that they had. So and also I think it's a pace of it's like a piece, right? When you hear I know when I hear other people say exactly what I had been already thinking, and we get this come together, and we which is why I've created my community on YouTube, Phoenix is Rising Academy, because it's when you come together and it's that peace. It's a brief thing of, "Oh my gosh, I'm okay." Like, my fur babies, when they get nervous about something, or when they're in pain, or when they're scared or something, they do a lot of licking, you know? It's like you'll see them kinda smack and whatever, and that's nervousness, right? And so sometimes I'll have to pull back because sometimes I'm triggered, and their demands, I'm overloaded. It's like, I don't wanna know, why you're sick. I have a fur baby who almost passed away when we got here. If I wouldn't have gotten her to the emergency room, I think I just caught it, right? She had all these fluids in there. She had to have a hysterectomy because she was going to have sepsis if not. And I had no idea that she had it. You see? Um, but she's still kind of, heavy breathing, whatever. And that stresses me out because it was traumatic. We just lost we did about a year ago, a little over a year ago now. Last August, my fur baby Prosperity passed away. And I'm not even going to go into how unprofessional these people were that handled it. But she passed away, and it was the most traumatic experience of my whole entire life. And then her sister almost goes, you know? And during my journey, I've lost a lot. I've had a lot of deaths that I feel would not have happened in many of these cases if I would not have been harassed and by this obsessed demonic piece of shit. Just to be transparent. So yeah, the system is tracking emotional load, not just what's being said. So sometimes, again, like in therapy or peer groups, emotionally charged conversations, conflict or perceived authority pressure. So there's difference. The I know for me, when my eyes start getting heavy, it's because I'm feeling a peace, like there's a weight taken off of me in some cases. If I'm having an emotionally charged conversation, it can be the passion that we're talking, and I'm happy that I've met a kindred spirit like myself. And then there's other times where it's like I'm passionate, and because my nervous system is overloading because I'm being mischaracterized, or somebody's making accusations that they have no business making. Do you see? So it can go either way. But let me read this again. Hold on. Okay. So again, number 5, why it happens in group sessions or conversations. So the response shows up frequently during therapy or peer groups, emotionally charged conversations, conflict, or perceived authority pressure, being misunderstood or mischaracterized. Okay. Listening to others' trauma stories. The system is tracking emotional load, not just what's being said. And my only caveat is that sometimes it's not necessarily because of the trauma it may conjure up in you, but also the release that you feel. All right, number 6, important distinction for um okay, this is not sorry, number 6. This is not dissociation in the pathological sense. So that's the important distinction. It's closer to micro shutdown, protective disengagement, nervous system conservation. Dissociation is leaving awareness entirely. Heavy eyes is the body trying to stay present without overload. Okay? When your eyes get heavy during overwhelm, it's your nervous system that's trying to reduce sensory input. It's not sleepiness and it's not weakness. It's your body saying, this is a lot and I need to slow down right now to keep myself safe. Right. And so that's why in many situations, because again, you people don't recognize. And if they do, they're a predator. They're a hunter. Many people don't recognize that that you're going through something, that you've just survived the most hellacious 10, 20 years, even a year, or 3 months, it doesn't matter. You've survived. And the only thing it's like, you um it's like you go on this wild quest, with Indiana Jones or whatever was what I grew up with, and you go on this big quest and you go through all these trials and tribulations and you almost get killed, you get poisoned, and then you're almost dead. Now you're alive again, you know? And it's like, ah. And then by the end of it, you're just so exhausted. You're like, boom, it's over with. I'm done with this right now. Right. So the body, and that's how some of us, I know what I felt was my nervous system was like, we can't do this. And I remember saying out loud when I was at work one day, I said, God, I said, I can't take this anymore. I was like, you are giving me more than I can bear, you know? Um, and because if I don't, I'm going to break. And I could feel it. I could feel it. I mean, like, I think that I wouldn't go have gone beyond the um, reactive abuse. So, yeah. So my body was already doing that. It was like, look, we got to shut down. I can't give you anymore. And my body still does that. There's days where I'm good and there's days where I can't move. And as somebody who's like used to just bouncing back, this is not going to be one of those times. This is not going to be one of those healing quick fixes. And you have to be present for it because you don't want to have to go through it again, right? 'Cause my spiritual mom always used to tell me, Henrietta, she said, once you go through something, you never have to go through it again, right? I never have to go through homelessness again. I never have to deal with cluster Bs to this extreme ever again, right? I never have to deal with people putting me last or trying to even use witchcraft to siphon me because they're too um, insecure and inferior, basically, to deal with me. So they use witchcraft and try and cheat, you know? All right. So here are some regulation tips. This is not to force alertness, but to support the body. Lower your gaze instead of forcing your eyes open. Okay. Take in one neutral object in the room. Exhale longer than you inhale, right? That's the box breathing, right? So you can like 4, 6, or 8, or you do all of them and just go down. But when you exhale, you can, go past that and then pause for the same amount of time, whether you're doing 4 or 6 or 8, right? Hold it for 4 or 6 or 8. Exhale for, maybe 10, 15, or until that breath, and then come back in again, right? Name something solid, feet on the floor, chair under body, right? Just to ground yourself. Avoid forcing eye contact. Like it's not that I'm afraid of people. Like I had a thing just today where I looked at somebody and was like, "What's up?" Um but it was more of a kind of like a defensive stare down, like who's jumping, who's feeling froggy kind of thing. Which I pulled myself out of after I realized what I was doing because I felt uncomfortable. Again, the triggers, you never know. I just walk into it because for, 10, 15 years, that's what I was doing. That's how I was surviving. So anyway, you don't force eye contact. That was me forcing eye contact. Because I noticed that my eyes get shaky, you know, and I've noticed that too. Like it's rapid movements from side to side that my eyes will go into. I forget what it's called. If anybody knows what it's called, put it in the chat, please. Um, Shaming yourself to stay awake. None of that. No shame or guilt. No, none of that. None of that. We look at things realistically. Okay, with understanding. We take ourselves out of that character that they were trying to create in us to be ashamed. Pushing through emotionally dense material, okay? Um, and that's why I'm not reading right now. Like I do a lot of listening. And sometimes I can't listen. I was so happy that I got through like an episode. Right? I mean, like, I mean, even when I was on the streets, I was, like, hyper focused, again, because I was desiring, human contact, and everybody that was around me was so disgusted by me because I was homeless, and they were projecting guilt, they were projecting shame. I had, people from this Latino gang that were throwing change at me to make fun of me, you know, amongst other things, so, yes, so, um heavy eyes don't mean you're checking out. They mean your body is checking in on its limits. Okay, so be aware of that. The awareness is actually a sign of self protection and intelligence. It's not a failure. All right. So if you guys have your eyes get heavy during, intense hypervigilance scanning, tension, rapid thoughts, right? Um, your brain gets tired. It's your eyes are tired. It's like, okay, we're tired. We're done now. We got to shut off. we gotta disconnect, right? So it's the dorsal vagal response, and this doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you're going out, or it doesn't even mean that you're sleepy. So as I've said, sometimes just laying down will do it, right? So I wanted to, just in case you guys were going through like I did when this participant brought that up, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Thank you for saying that, because I was wondering what that was. So I was so grateful for her share, and for being able to research and bring it to you guys too, just in case. So again, we got um the From Sealed to Healed, March 14th. 10 a.m. It's on a Saturday. It's on a weekend. It's early, 2.5 hours at max, or 3 hours at max, but it's going for 2 hours at least. And just discussion workbook. We can work out through the workbook together. What you receive. You're just investing in yourself. You're planting a seed in 2026 for your future, right? For you and your healing, on your healing journey. You're building up your arsenal, you're building up your tools, which builds up your strength emotionally, physically, and spiritually. All right. And eventually financially. It's going to do that, right? So it's only $97. You can follow the link from Sealed to Healed in the description, and go ahead and register. I think it's taking up to 10 people. I like to keep my group small because I want to pay attention to everybody. I want to have people sharing what they're going through. Some people, if you get triggered, you don't have to share. You can do the replay. You can do the replay too. If you do happen to miss it, you've got a replay and you got a free workbook. All right. And this is going to be on Google Meets. And if you don't have a Google account, then you may not want to sign up. But if you do want to sign up, get yourself a Google account. And I chose Google Meets because it's free, number one. And number two, we can stay on as long as we want. Where if I was doing Zoom, I don't like the way that Zoom is. Um, I like, what was it? Yard StreamYard, I think, but I don't, that was too complicated. So I'm out of date with all this, online stuff. So I just figured, let's keep it simple again. Let's keep it simple, and let's just get to the community part of it, and let's build together. Okay. So that's it for right now. Please like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you think will need this. And your blessings are in your ashes, and from the soul we rise. Forgot my own thing. From the ashes we rise, from the soul we lead. This is Coach T, and I love you.